sending out those recordings.
Yeah, we'll do so. So welcome everyone. My name is Karen, and I am director here in Copenhagen. And on this presentation is also Rebecca, who is also taking part in this meeting, and will also tell you a little bit about what our plans are for the program we're running in Copenhagen this summer. I also know that Joanna is here from CIEE in the US, so she might be able to help us out with some of the more practical questions that you may have, but feel free at any time. There's not that many of us, so feel free if you have questions along the way to unmute yourself and ask those questions. We will also at the end of the session have time for you if you have additional questions, and that's what we're here for. We want to make sure you get as many of your questions answered as possible. So we have a map of Denmark where you see we're very centrally located, or we think so ourselves, being a small country. But oops, the presentation disappeared. Rebecca? Rebecca? Ooh. Maybe she lost internet.
Looks like Rebecca dropped off. Not seeing her on the participant list anymore.
No.
Oh, she's back.
Sorry about that. Let's see. Here you go. Is it visible for you guys?
Yeah. Good. So what I was saying was that Denmark was a small country, and the reason we put this map in here is to sort of give you an idea, if you don't already know, where we are located. We're part of the Scandinavian countries, Norway and Sweden, and we have the border to Germany south of us. And then there is easy access to all of the countries, mostly in Europe, from Denmark. So why should you choose to come to Copenhagen this summer? Of course, I would like to say because it's one of the most wonderful cities. It is one of the best cities to live in. Comes out in top 3 every time. Also, Denmark has been, we're in the top 3 of one of the happiest countries in the world. So that could be one of the reasons to come and study and live here and get an impression of what it is to live in a happy country. We're one of the most livable cities, I said before. And one of the things that that you could also do is to enjoy the famous Danish cuisine. At the moment, we actually have number 1 and 2 of the best restaurants in the world. So, of course, it's really expensive to go there. And I personally haven't had dinner at any of the restaurants. But what it has done is it's really rubbed off on everything else in Copenhagen. So there's a very high quality of the food we get in restaurants and markets and everywhere in Copenhagen. But I think probably what you would enjoy more of all of this is to ride a bicycle around. This is how most of us Danes, and especially if you live in one of the bigger cities like Copenhagen, that's how we get around. That's how I get to work. That's how Rebecca gets to work every day. And it's really easy. We have more bike lanes than any other country in the world. And if you see on this photo, that is our crown prince taking his youngest two children, the twins, to the kindergarten. So it's not only us, the normal people, that go around on our bikes, but it's also even the royal family. And finally, you need to come here to learn all about hygge. I don't know if you've heard about it, but it's become a really famous concept around the world. It's all about having a good time together, light some candles, have some nice food, and just hang out with people you enjoy being with. Could be family, could be friends, but you can learn more about that if you come and spend time with us here. So what are the highlights of Copenhagen? It is one of the smaller capitals in Europe, but it also a very cosmopolitan and cool city. And when I say cool, it's not something I've come up with. It's what most of the students that we've had on our programs in Copenhagen say. They love our city. They think it's really cool and very lively. It was a former Viking village, and it is now a very modern city with lots of outdoor activities and very active music scene and lots of cultural activities that you can do around the city. We have a very low crime rate, and the students that I just sent home after having spent 12 weeks here in Copenhagen, some of them you see on this photo, said that they have never felt this safe as they have in Copenhagen. And they were actually concerned about going to new cities or back home because they had to start thinking about being more safe again. There is also, I said before, we went on our bikes, so there is close to 250 miles of bike paths throughout Copenhagen, but we also have a very well-organized public transport. So if you don't feel like riding your bike in the rain, it's very easy to get from A to B in no time. We have a metro, we have a train, we have buses, and it's cheap and easy to get around by public transport. And of course, we are the home of the world famous amusement park, Tivoli, where you can go around and try all of the rides that it offers. It's also very beautiful. It has many flowers, many restaurants, and lots of places to do things. There are also live concerts throughout the summer, some with bigger international names and some with more local and Danish bands. We have, of course, also the Little Mermaid, the statue of the Little Mermaid that sits by the water, looking towards the sea, missing her family because she came on land to marry her prince. And that is, of course, the fairy tale written by our famous writer Hans Christian Andersen, who was born and lived in Copenhagen. Well, he was born in Odense, but lived most of his life and wrote his fairy tales here in Copenhagen. And more relevant maybe to this program, Copenhagen is the first capital in the world to have the goal to be carbon neutral by 2025. And it is among the greenest cities in the world. So with the happiest, the safest, and also one of the greenest cities in the world. So really, it is a great place to be and to visit. Our Copenhagen Study Center is located right in the city center. And as it says here, it's about a 5-minute walk from everything. Well, almost everything. But we are very close to so many of the major sites in Copenhagen. One of the main shopping streets is just outside our door. The Royal Guards march by our study center every day at 11:35. We can We know it's almost time for lunch when we hear them come. Sometimes they have music, sometimes they don't, but we can just hear them marching even though there's no music. And Rebecca and I have tried to figure out a pattern, and every day we enjoy them when they walk by. So you should come and check them out as well.
So some of the activities and excursions we're going to do during this program is we're of course are going to go and explore the city by our bikes. And then we're going to go swim in the harbor. We have one of the cleanest water in our harbor fronts. They get cleaned on a regular basis. And then as you might have heard, we're going to go explore Copenhagen, which is first and foremost a waste to energy plant with a ski hill built on top of it. Then we're going to go explore some of the many museums that Copenhagen has to offer. And we're going to go and see some of the companies that is very relevant to this program. Some of the day trips that we're going to go on is we're going to go and visit this island called Youth Island. It's a very new island. Well, the island is not new, but the company and the concept of Youth Island is very new and it's very fun. So we're going to go there, we're going to go play games, and we're going to go swim and just explore the nature that is on this island. And then we're going to have a Viking stay. So we're going to go and explore some of the few Viking cities that are still around and see how they lived back in the day. And then hopefully it's the time for our Midsummer Festival, where we celebrate that the summer is here and that the sun is here. And we're just going to have a really good time and lots of hygge. So a typical week for this high school program would be about 15 hours of class. This also has excursion and activities and lots of other things that we're going to go explore. There's the option to do the survival Danish classes, to just hear and get a few words of Danish into your system so you know how to get around, how to order maybe a food or a drink. Some of the other co-curricular activities that we're going to do is we're going to go and visit the UN building. We're going to explore an urban rooftop farm. As I said, we're going to go explore Copenhagen. We're both going to see inside of it and go ski on top of it. And then we're going to go have a lecture about sustainability in Tivoli Gardens, because they have a few initiatives that they made over the years, and they like to share that with us. And then you're also going to have free time to go explore on your own and have a lot of fun in Copenhagen. As Karen said, this is a very safe city, and we have a few stuff planned out for you, but we also have planned out free times for you to go explore on your own. And then, of course, we have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, which is either with us all together, or you get these meal stipends where you can go out on your own.
If I can just add, if you could go back, Rebecca, the UN building may not be something you're familiar with, but it is actually, we have a lot of headquarters of many of the United Nations organizations that are located here in Copenhagen in a very cool building, and we'll go and visit that.
So this is our study center. As Karen mentioned before, we're located right in the city center of Copenhagen. And it's a place that students really like to hang out during their time off.
I think, and this photo of it is where we are showing a film, probably a Danish film. We like to introduce students to a lot of the Danish, or some of the Danish films that have done really well in internationally. And if you look at the other photo, the study center is in that red building with the little green tower on top. We're on the first floor of that building above a 7-Eleven store, which might sound very familiar to you. It is slightly different in Denmark because they actually sell quite a bit of healthy foods in the 7-Eleven store. But it's very convenient to have it there. right by our center.
So we do also have our Instagram that we try to show daily lives of our student, or at the moment we don't have students located in Copenhagen, but we try to show what they did when they were here the last 12 weeks. When we do have students, they have Instagram takeovers, so you get to follow along the students' everyday life. And we also have Facebook where we share a lot of our stuff as well.
Yeah, so if you want to get a little bit more of a sense of what students have enjoyed in Copenhagen, I can really recommend going to our Instagram and look at it and see what students have posted. I love it when our students have a takeover, because it also gives me an idea of what they're enjoying and how they're exploring my city, which also by the time they leave have become their city. So I can highly recommend that.
So there's a few reminders for you from CIEE. That is, if you finish your application by December 1st, there's a chance for you to win a free flight. And if you know an alumni, you can save up to $200 if you start your application through their referral link. And Joanna will know more about that.
And back a bit, we need to, so this is a photo of some of our students that we just said goodbye to, and they're right at the Little Mermaid. And if you look carefully, you can actually in the back of the photo see the building with the skiing hill on it. I don't know if you can point it out, Olivia. So that's Copenhagen, and that's where you can go skiing all year round. Usually you can't go skiing in Denmark because a lot of people think we get a lot of snow in the winter, but we really don't. We're not like Sweden and Norway where they go skiing all the time. So if you're Danish and you want to go skiing, you need to go to Sweden, Norway, Austria, Switzerland, France, Italy. But you can go on this artificial skiing hill in Copenhagen and try that out. Okay. So are there any questions for us?
I have some questions.
Yeah.
Did you have this program last summer, or was it impacted by COVID?
It was unfortunately impacted by COVID because the Danish government closed our borders. We weren't allowed to get any foreigners, international students into the country until they opened them starting June, but because of the timing, there was so little time, so we had to cancel before that, because we didn't know if they were going to open the borders.
So how many years has this program been in like, not counting last year, but before?
So it was actually the first time we were going to run it last year, so we haven't run the program. So for us, we're very excited to be finally running it because we've spent a lot of time planning, and but we have had students. So we've had university students come, and so we've had the study center open in 2018 in the fall. So we have I've had a lot of students come through what we call our open campus program. So many of the activities and the things we're planning to do for this program, we've done with students from our study programs.
Those are like college-aged students.
It is. It was, of course, be slightly different because it's a different age group. So there will be more staff with the students, and also there are, of course, things we wouldn't do. Although normally we tend to not do things that in any way could be slightly dangerous or those kind of things. So with our students.
Thank
I
you.
think we've been planning this program since 2020, right? 2020 was supposed to be the
Yeah.
first run of Copenhagen. So we're really excited to be able to offer it this year. And we've been running high school summer abroad programs in other study centers since 2015. So these high school specific programs have been running for, this will be our 7th year, but just excited to get into Copenhagen this summer as well.
What's the rooming situation? How do the kids, do they have roommates? And
So they would either share a room with one other students or have their own room. And we would always have one or more program leaders staying in the same dorm as the students. Right now, we're just securing housing for 2022. So it looks right now like they will be either in a student dorm very close to our study center or in another one not far away, and they're both really nice and very newly renovated.
I'll add a piece about kind of the layers of support while on program. And then there was, after there's a question about how do you build, community within the group. So I'll let Karen and Rebecca speak to that. But in addition to Karen and Rebecca, who, live in Copenhagen, work there for CIEE full time, they'll be traveling program leaders who are US, typically high school teachers who teach or work in and have experience with high school students in the topic. So it could be science teachers, climate folks who have experience working with high school students. And for every 10 students we have, we'll hire one program leader. And they're there in addition to Karen and Rebecca, who do all of the high level program organization and curriculum development. And then the program leaders are there for support and supervision as well. And like Karen mentioned, they live in the same accommodation. So they're there to, be available 24/7 and help facilitate that community in the evenings and provide that layer of supervision as well.
So Claire is asking here about, do students typically find it easy to make new friends over the program? And, I can't say for the high school because we haven't run them in Copenhagen, but I can tell you that the last group of students we had, they kept saying to me, can you believe how good friends we've become? And it was all of them. So my experience with students is that they connect really easily with the others in the group, and they quickly find people to hang out with and do things, activities with. And yes, they will be supervised most of the time. Like there might be little, a few hours a day where they are allowed to go out on their own and do and explore and maybe do a little bit of shopping and exploring Copenhagen on their own. But most of the time they will have somebody with them, either one of the program leaders or a program leader, as well as staff from Copenhagen. We have a 24-hour phone that will be carried by one of the staff. So if they need any help at any time, we're there to help them out. There is a curfew, and I have to say, I don't know what time it is. I can't remember. I don't know if Joanna knows, but there is a curfew where they have to be back in their room and allowed out of the housing.
Yeah, it varies location by location because, in some cultures you eat dinner really late and it's light out really late. So during their orientation, they'll, have that ground rule set of when is the curfew. And there's kind of two pieces to orientation. So we'll do all the students later this spring, once they're enrolled in the programs, they'll complete an online orientation that's kind of self-paced. And then we'll do a pre-travel, more detailed session that's specific to this program in Copenhagen before departure. And there was a question about like a chance to meet other students on the program. So that online orientation and the virtual orientation that we'll do is a chance to meet students before the program. I've chaperoned students when they're traveling from the US to the program for programs in 2018 and 2019. And the high school students start becoming fast friends like at the airport. Like it's instant. They suddenly have, it's pretty cool to see, especially, you know, they all know they have this similar interest, this shared interest. They're all kind of out of their comfort zone. So it's pretty special to see how quickly they make friends.
There's a question there about number of students. And here again, Joanna, you probably have a little bit better of an idea, but I know that for 2020, when we had to cancel, it was between 15 and 20 that had signed up for the program. And I'm hoping it will be somewhere around that number again. So it's not too many and it's not too few.
Yeah, we already have it. There's a good number of students who had planned on traveling on this program in 2021. And when it was canceled, they decided to sign up already for 2022. So we have about a dozen students or so who are already enrolled for this summer. So it'll probably be closer to 20, maybe a little bit more. But this is one of our smaller programs, which I think you know, has its benefits of having a really close, tight-knit group, and, you know, they really get to know the program leaders really well and Karen and Rebecca really well. So it's one of our smaller programs, I think.
So, and then I think we will be running another high school program. But
yeah,
yeah. Please go ahead, Joanna.
Yeah, so we're offering this program that we're talking about today is just the climate change policy and advocacy, which will be all 3 weeks in Copenhagen. But then we are also offering a program that moves locations that's focused on global entrepreneurship that will also go to Dublin and Berlin. Yeah, the question about students typically coming individually or knowing each other beforehand, for the most part, I think most students don't know anyone else on the program. Some schools that we work with might have, you know, a number of students go each year, but they're kind of spread across. We offer more than 30 programs. So for most of the time, students are going on a program and they don't know anyone else who's going on that program, and it's not a problem at all. They all make friends. It's kind of a cool opportunity too to meet students from all over the US. It won't just be, you know, their state or their region. We really support students from, typically have like 45 states represented within our summer cohort across all programs.
And I can just confirm, like, again, the group of students, I know there were college students, but 7 or 8 of them came from the same college, but none of them knew each other before they came to Copenhagen. So it's not my impression that students tend to travel in pairs or groups. Most of them come on their own to do these kind of things. There is no, as such, community service in the program, and they don't earn college credits for the high school program. We don't have any excursions to Hamburg, Craig, or to the Wadden Sea. We are planning a trip to an island called Samsø to really look into how they've dealt with the climate and being environmentally sustainable there. And they've just been named one of the most, or the most sustainable community, I think, in the world. If can you confirm, Rebecca?
Yes. So UN gave them this award in September, so that the greenest community in the world, and they're completely sustainable on their own by green energy. It's a really cool island. So we'll go there for an excursion.
Overnight.
Yeah, overnight, if it's possible with all regulations, but yeah.
I can talk a bit about there's a question about flights and kind of that logistics. I can talk a bit about that. So late winter, early spring, kind of probably in March, we'll be sharing instructions on how to book flights. So we'll always offer a chaperoned group flight option. So you'll probably meet in a central hub here in the US. It might be JFK or Newark. It just depends each year where our students are coming from. We know where the best flights are, but we'd let you know what that option is for the group flights. So you might have to fly domestically on your own, like from Houston, for example, to JFK, but then you would meet up in JFK with the CIEE program leader and the other students and fly over to Copenhagen all together as a group. Or we'll let you know if you'd rather fly independently and there's a more direct flight from your home airport, or you're comfortable flying, you don't want to make that extra stop to get to the group, you're welcome to fly independently as well, but we'll tell you what airport you need to arrive at and give you a window of time within which to arrive, usually like a 4-hour window, so that Rebecca and Karen's team can gather everyone as a group and make that airport run to pick everyone up and then start orientation from there. But we'll share a lot more information about the flight booking process in February or March timeframe.
And yes, of course, we'll be at the airport and meet everyone and take them back to the study center and or the accommodation, depending a little bit on the timing and how we're planning this. We've done both in the past. So is this program more similar to a camp or typical school day? I would say it's a mixture, but you can correct me again, Joanna, but because there will be, we will have lessons in the morning, and a lot of the activities we do will be connected to the theme of the program, so that it is a learning experience. At the same time, we will do a lot of fun activities too, but so one of them, as we said, we'll take them to Tivoli, where Tivoli as a company will tell them about how they work with sustainability. And then afterwards, they'll get a tour pass and we'll be able to enjoy Tivoli Gardens and have fun there afterwards. Another example of this is, when we say we go swimming in the harbor, I mean, that's also showcasing the fact that Copenhagen has been able to clean its harbor to the extent that we have harbor pools. I think we have 5 or 6 harbor pools at the moment, where the people who live here go swimming every summer when it gets warm. So it's a combination. So a lot of the activities that we try to introduce them to will be activities that also relate, maybe not all of them, but many of them will relate to the theme of the program.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. We kind of focus all of our programs really around the experiential learning model. And so having that time to reflect, experience, have the experience, make those connections to the topic, see the real life implications. So there's definitely that academic components and, for the students needing to want to learn for their summer. It's not just summer camp where you go and do, fun activity after fun activity. You don't really turn on your brain too much in terms of like thinking about, one of the greatest challenges our planet's facing right now. So students definitely need to be able to be in that academic mindset a little bit, but it's through a very fun, experiential way of approaching the topic, and just really needing to be curious, I'd say, is the best way to come to a study abroad program. Curious and open and flexible, and excited to be in the culture.
And you mentioned it earlier, Joanna, also about the curfew that, so in Denmark, we are one of, it is one of the places where in the summer, the evenings are really light. So that in itself, for some students can be quite the experience that 11 o'clock at night, it's still almost daylight outside. It does get dark in the evening, so we can go to sleep, but it also adds to the experience to have those summer nights. And it's really, Denmark and Copenhagen is at its best at, when these programs run. May, June, and July are really amazing in Copenhagen.
Yeah, and that coupled with the safety of the city, year round, but having that daylight is pretty special to be able to enjoy your evenings. Any other questions we can answer? I'm also happy if anyone's started the application process and has specific questions about the application. I'll send over in the chat our email address for the US based team, because we're really the ones who are going to help you through the application process. So Karen and Rebecca are busy, planning, and then we're here to help you with all those application questions. So I'm going to send through our email and our phone number.
And also, I'm kind of curious, are any of, I don't know if any of you are planning to come, or has anybody been to Denmark? You can raise your hand or unmute yourself if you want to. No? Okay, well, I can only recommend it. And I know that the students we had just had, they were so sad they had to leave, and they were like saying that they already felt like Copenhagen was their home. They had been here for 12 weeks, but it's still, I think it was like 3 weeks in, one of the students said, I've never been happier anywhere. Also, Handan's husband works for a Danish company. Ooh, Henning Larsen Architecture. They're very famous and very good. Done a lot of international, in other countries. Amazing. It wasn't Henning Larsen Architecture that did our study center, but we had another Danish really nice architecture company do our center. So, and I guess that's also, so Denmark is happy, healthy, or safe, and a very sustainable country, but it is also one of the things we're known for is great architecture and design, and have been for quite some time with Henning Larsen, Utzon, and now there's another very famous Danish architect called Bjarne Engels, who has a huge studio and in New York. I think there's several hundred people employed by him in New York at the moment. And there's a very famous architect called Jan G, who is helping all over the world now to design cities to be bike friendly. So that's another thing. I've been to Melbourne in Australia and Christchurch in New Zealand, where he has had a go at designing and making it more of a bike friendly city. So, are there any more questions or comments? Be happy to answer. Also, I'll give you my email. So if you have any sort of program specific questions, feel free to send me an email as well. Doesn't seem like there are more questions.
There is one.
Oh,
It was,
Yeah.
what is the legal drinking age?
So regardless of the drinking age, CIEE has a very strict no drinking, no drugs policy for our high school students, regardless of the country's rules. So that's our safety is our top priority, and high school students don't make good decisions when they're experimenting with drugs or alcohol. So we have a very strict policy of that. Yeah, that'll be covered multiple times in orientation. Don't worry. we set that boundary. Yeah.
and well, the drinking age is 18, but as Joanna said, that doesn't matter, because if they're on the program, it's no alcohol and no drugs. Thank you as well, Craig, and have en god day as well. It's getting close to 10 p.m. here in Denmark, so it's almost good night for us, and I hope your day continues well.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rebecca, Karen. This is great.
And thank you all for taking the time to listen to us.
Yes, thank you.
Take care. Bye.